evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sneha Jha. I am the editor of ETCIO, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome all of you to the Mumbai chapter of the Transformation Cloud series, brought to you by ETCIO in association with Persistent Systems and Google Cloud. It is very heartening to see so many of you here. I appreciate you taking out the time to be with us today. This event is a confluence of IT executives, power users of technology across business functions, and data champions from across different industry verticals. Today, we will facilitate a blend of informative panel discussions, keynote sessions, interactive presentations that will help inform, solve, enlighten, inspire, and prepare you for a business environment that is powered by cloud and enabled by data. We have well over 50 delegates from across different industries. And we also have seasoned industry practitioners from Google Cloud and Persistent Systems. So the networking opportunities over the next couple of hours are going to be quite exciting for all of you. Now, I'm sure all of you will agree with me that for most organizations, cloud adoption has been more of a forcing function. But today, cloud has become a force multiplier. And how? That leads me to believe what cloud expert Joe McKendrick said 3 years ago. He said, IT is a small piece of the cloud story. A much bigger story is unfolding in the business. The curtain is now opening on a much bigger act of cloud computing, the second act of cloud computing, if you will. And it's all about understanding the various data-led innovations that can power your business and help you steer the era of digital transformation. There is also an increased realization that organizations are not playing their own game anymore. It's more of a collaborative game supported by ecosystem partners, which is why we have some industry experts and practitioners here who've been there, done that for their customers, and are here to share their insights and real-world scenario planning with each of you. I'd rather you heard from them than me. With that, I'd like to call upon stage Thelava Senapati Subramaniam, Senior Manager, Partnerships, Google Sales at Persistent Systems. Thelava Senapati has been working closely with large organizations through their cloud and app modernization journeys. He is proficient at devising plans that balance demand and supply for the effective delivery of digital transformation programs. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Thelava Senapati. Hi. Good evening. All yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Is my voice audible? Good evening and warm welcome to all of you. My name is Deva. I am from Persistent, a leading digital services engineering firm based out of India. And today's discussion is all about accelerating our digital transformation. So we know today, most of the organizations are very keen to accelerate the digital transformation journey to improve their business processes, to best reach their customers, and create a talent pool within the organization to help them to accelerate the journey. So the theme of today's discussion is how Google Cloud, a leading public cloud hyperscaler, and Persistent can help you in this journey. That's what we're going to speak about in the next 10 minutes. So when we spoke to our customers, we reached out to our customers to understand what are the top cloud initiatives each of them are undertaking in their own capacity. So we could see the first concept that came in was optimizing the cost. When you look at any boardroom or any CFO discussion, the top of the mind share or the discussion is how can we optimize cloud? Because we're all moving from a CapEx model to OpEx model, and we're seeing so much of revenue leakage, and we're using multi-cloud environment. So we are forced to look at cost as a component. So that was the first top of the mind recall from our customers. When we spoke to the digital officers and the CTO, the next big concept came was migrating workloads. Today, most of the customers have their workloads in on-prem, right? And they're looking at moving all the critical mission workloads to cloud. Because on-prem, there are so many facilities and functionalities are not available. Like you want machine learning at scale, it's not available in on-prem. So you are forced to look at moving all your mission critical workloads to cloud to enjoy the functionalities, facilities, scale, security, and reliability. So that was the second big input we got from our customers. The third important point was SaaS adoption. Today, we see most of the line of business application, be it ERP, CRM, or supply chain management. Most of the solutions are now going on a SaaS model, user-based subscription model. So these are the three most cloud initiatives that we learned from our customers, a top priority for them. The second thing when we spoke to our customers, we wanted to understand what are the challenges, right? Once we knew their priorities, we wanted to know what are the challenges. The biggest challenges the customers were facing was security. The end customers' data, the end users' data, how are we going to protect these data once they go on a public environment or a data center in cloud? That was the main concern. The second challenge which we wanted to see was the lack of resources, recruiting, retaining, reskilling your internal resources who are on legacy technology. You need to rebuild them, reskill them, and bring them onto the latest cloud platform. That was the second biggest concern in the leadership of the organization. Again, when we came to the next concept, managing cloud spend became an important part of it, right? Because there's so much of revenue leakage, there are so many VMs open on cloud, the reports are very complex. Getting a cloud report, and then drilling down to see which is network, compute, storage, and trying to understand project-wise, division-wise, these all became very complex to the organization to track the cost. So we could see the top three challenges. This is what we learned from our customers. The next important thing now within, when you see in the ecosystem is adopting multi-cloud. Today, organizations do not want to put all their eggs in one basket, and they're looking at a concept of, adopting multi-public cloud systems. So what are the main reasons? They would like to have their different apps. It's kind of de-risking the IT environment, right? If your DR and DC are on the same cloud, it's a risky part of it. So you want to de-risk the whole IT investment. You want to have a DR on a different cloud, DC on a different cloud. Cost arbitration. You could negotiate more with vendors, right? When you have multi-cloud with you, it's good to have a cost discussion with the multiple public vendors. The next important concept that came was data integration. Today, you may have your data on-prem. It could be in different public cloud vendors. You need different solution architecture. You need ETL tools. You need different kind of systems to help you to access all these siloed data. So multi-cloud architecture was a very, very important conversation that came up in our discussions with customer. So we try to summarize. So we learned this from our customers. So what do they want to do to accelerate the digital transformation? So every customer now wants to be a technology company, right? It's no longer a business we are running. We need to be tech-enabled. We need to be a technology company. So the first thing customers were looking at was intelligence. What do we mean by intelligence? Data. So are we using data well? Are we understanding our customers well? Are we able to mine the data for business benefits? The second most important concept was on freedom. Are we getting logged in for proprietary technology? Do we have an open cloud? Do we have open architecture? Does the customer have the ability to choose what he wants? Or is there any vendor lock-in? So that was the second important thought process that came in. The third was when you go into cloud, we are seeing connections. What do we mean by connection? Hybrid workplace. Today, the employees, they need to be innovative, creative on the cloud to find cloud solutions. So then you need a collaborative workplace solution to bring all your teams connected together and collaborate. Today, we need to do a proposal. We need to do a legal contract. You need the entire team. You need the sales team. You need the pre-sales team. You need all of them collaborating on a single document to share it to your customers. So collaborating within the organization is as much important as it is to your customers. Obviously, protection, right? Security. This is a nightmare, and we know everyone has sleepless nights when you talk about security. We are seeing so many cyber attacks, ransomware attacks, and customer is very, very concerned about data security. right? So every CTO, every CDO in the organization, the most top priority is how can I secure my data. Now the latest thing is sustainability. So customers want to partner with organizations who can help them to reduce carbon footprint. They're very conscious that even though you want to go on cloud, you need to be sustainable, and we cannot create environmental issues. So this is what we learn from our customers, that every organization's the priorities are intelligence, freedom, connection, protection, and sustainability to help them to accelerate the digital transformation journey. For today's discussion, we thought we will take intelligence, right, protection, and freedom as a concept and discuss with you how we could take that forward. So the first part, intelligence, we said data. So are we good? Google and Persistent good at understanding and helping customers use their data? Today, what customers want when you look at the data cloud. So Google calls its data solutions a data cloud. So when we say data cloud, what are we looking for? We are looking for a unified solution, right? The data could be on-prem, the data could be in multi-cloud. You need a unified solution, right, on which you need to be having speed and security. Now, for example, look at the big query of Google Cloud. It's capable of processing 1 billion queries in a second. That's the kind of speed and reliability you're looking at. And open standards. Now, Google recently launched a Data Cloud Alliance, where it has 17 members, like Databricks, Confluent, right? We had 17 data alliances for open cloud basis. So when Google is compatible with all these various 17 products, right, in the global world today. So we are open. When you're using Google, you can involve a lot of other technology platform. Goes without saying, Google is a leader in AI. So everybody knows Google DNA is all about AI. So once you have the data, what do you do with data, right? You need to build machine learning models, data models on top of it. So Vertex AI is one of the leading platform of Google Cloud, which helps you to create machine learning models using MLOps and deploying these trained models in production environment. So Google had an end-to-end solution, right? It had a BigQuery kind of solution where you could create data warehouses, and it had AI with it. It had the complete solution set available for the organization. Now, some of the industry leaders using our data cloud where Google and Persistent jointly implemented. You could see SmartShift, Maxim, Genomics, and Pizza Hut. These are some of the Indian logos where we have jointly implemented the success stories for us. Apart from this, BharatPay and Flipkart use data cloud of Google. Look at Flipkart, the big billion day sales, right? They have about 12 petabyte of data, thousands of queries happens on data cloud of Google. BharatPay's digital security protection, right, happens, fraud detection of BharatPay happens on data cloud of Google. So these are some of our success stories where we enabled our customers to adopt data cloud successfully. So let us take one case study here and just tell you how we went about helping the customer on their digital acceleration journey. So SmartShift, I think everybody, most of you are aware here, it's a Mahindra started company, and now Porter is part of Porter, SmartShift. So they were into cargo transportation, and they were helping people to digitize the cargo transportation business model. So the big challenge facing, they were having thousands of queries, multiple transporters and people, customers together, and they were finding it very difficult to help them in booking their. So what Persistent and Google did there is we stepped in and helped to create a serverless platform for them called SmartShift. So we built a SmartShift, a load exchange platform, to enable the vendors and the end users come together to enable to book a vehicle. The challenge was creating the application. So we used App Engine and Firebase, which is a web and mobile app development platform of Google. We used App Engine and Firebase, and within a short period of 3 months, we were able to create a platform for them. Next, how did we handle the data? BigQuery is the data warehousing solution on which we used Cloud Data Store. It's a NoSQL database, and Google Cloud Storage is object-based storage. So we used 2 storages, and we moved the data into cloud, right, BigQuery, and we created the entire platform for them, right? Basis which data is now available to the end users to analyze and utilize and decrease the booking time. So now just look at the outcomes, right? We saw the challenge, and we just saw the solution, what we delivered on Google Cloud. In 3 minutes, people are able to book a cargo vehicle. So this was the biggest business outcome. We could see that booking a cargo vehicle is no longer a big task. If you go onto the platform, even now it's publicly available, it's a very simple task to search your vehicle and book it. It took 3 minutes to book it. It is 1.3K people using the platform and growing on a day-to-day basis. So this is one of the success stories of Data Cloud, where you could easily use, and the tools we used was App Engine and Firebase, right, and Google Maps API. So obviously, when you have location intelligence, when you have cargo and you're looking at booking a vehicle, you need a Google Maps API. So we provided a solution putting together all the Google Cloud technologies and platform to give you an end-to-end solution. Okay, so the first point we saw was intelligence, right? We were seeing data. Now we come to the second point, right? So does Google have only data cloud? It has infra cloud, right? Where it helps an intelligent infra cloud, which helps the customers to a robust technology platform to host their solutions, right? Safe and secure manner. So why do we say it's infra cloud is one of the leading cloud in the market today? Because it's an easy cloud to migrate and modernize. What do we mean? Today we have so many workloads within an organization. We have a VMware workload, right? We have a SAP workload. We may have a legacy Unix application workload, right? You may have containerized applications. You may have legacy applications. There are so many types of different types of workload, which you need to move to Google Cloud, right? So this is all compatible, and we have many success stories on each of these workloads, and that's why it's one of the easiest and safe bet when you're looking at a technology infrastructure. Obviously, the next concept comes is you have AI ML, you have Vertex AI, you can create ML ops and safely deploy a trained model. And it's an open planet scale. When you say open, it's an open architecture. Google Cloud is not a proprietary, Kubernetes, TensorFlow, Anthos. These are all open architecture-based product platform of Google. So Google is well known to be an open architecture product. Are the 3 main reasons why we find the infra cloud of Google is very, very popular among customers. Right? Some of the industry leaders where Persistent and Google jointly have implemented infra. You could see here many of the logos which you will be aware of. eShopBox, IDFI, MoMagic, Purple. These are all Indian customers. So we are talking only about success stories of Indian customers where we have implemented Google Cloud, and they've all successfully adopted the infra cloud of Google. So let's take one case study and let's see how did the customer benefit by adopting the infra cloud of Google. So the customer name is Purple. I'm sure most of you know the brand. They are into cosmetics. They have a huge web-based business, and they have 4 million users at any point of time accessing their online cart. And their biggest challenge was conversion rate, because they had huge inventories. They had thousands of products and inventories, and the conversion rate was not happening. There were a lot of dropouts when people were trying to search for a product. The response time was very poor. So these were some of the reasons why the business was not really moving forward. Even though the users were climbing, they were not able to scale up to that level. That was the huge challenge they were facing. So what we did is we created an application, right? Again, we moved all their infrastructure on Google Cloud. So we moved the infra on Google Cloud. We created a Cloud Vision API using AutoML Cloud Vision API. We trained data sets and models for identifying the personalization of users. So the whole idea here was how could we personalize the customer experience so that they could select the products easily and the conversion rates can improve. So Cloud Big Table was used where all the personalized information was stored, and within milliseconds it could be restored, right? And obviously BigQuery we used to create the data warehouse, and Cloud Big Table was the Google platform which was used to store the data. And because of this, there was an increase. What was the business outcome? It improved the conversion rate by 25%. The customer experience improved. Personalization helped the customers to choose their products very easily on the website, and the shopping experience was improved, and therefore the conversion rate increased by 25%. So this is another success story where we were able to give a successful business outcome by adopting the infra cloud of Google. Now we saw the 2 intelligence, and we saw the other part of open cloud. Now coming to the third most important, security. So do we know how we help our customers to be secure, not only with their data, their customers' data? So that's a very big responsibility on Google, right? So you would have read a lot of news security of Google. So their simple concept is they shared fate model, which means they have a skin in the game, and that is the biggest differentiator between the other vendors and Google. So some of the main products of Google, if you look at, right, you have Security Ops Center, right, which helps you to detect and automate alerts. Mandiant, you would have seen a 5 billion purchase of Google recently. It helps you on dark web attacks, right? And you have zero trust model, which is, trust nothing and detect everything. It helps to protect all your workloads and users from data. You have reCAPTCHA, which helps you against any attack, right? Web attack, denial of service, those kind of things. So Google has a complete robust platform to help customers on maintaining the digital sovereignty requirement. So Google not only gives you data, not only gives you infra, it also gives you safe, secure, option when you adopt the Google Cloud. So this is the most important aspect, if you ask me, this is the biggest differentiator of Google, right, when you look at adopting a public cloud platform hyperscaler for your business. Now, let us look at some of the industry leaders. Obviously, NSC is a well-known name. eShopBox, MoMagic, ID5. These are some of the leading customers with whom we've shared a success story. Google and Persistent jointly have implemented. Let us take one success story here, National Stock Exchange. So National Stock Exchange, everybody knows, has huge petabytes of data coming from trading, right? So they had researchers and end users who had to access those data, right? And was creating a challenge. One was the quantity of data, which is growing in terabytes daily, and the security of this data, right? How do you maintain the security of the data? So for solving this business challenge, the lift and shift of data warehouse to Google Cloud happened. It is called the data room. The NSC data room was created. This was basically creating a cloud-based data warehouse. BigQuery was one of the major tools which was used. Cloud SQL is the RDBMS product of Google. Cloud storage, right, was for storing the object-based items. And based on this, a complete data analytic platform was created and was safe and secure. And now, what was the business outcome? The researchers and other academicians were interested in the data, would now retrieve securely the data, and that was the biggest outcome from this particular customer success story. So you could imagine the level of security if you're going to have these kind of critical data on public cloud. Okay, so now we saw these three important aspects. Now, what is the next important item on the chart? Organizations want trusted partners, right? You need a trusted partner because it's a very, very important initiative within the organization, and you need a very trusted partner to give your entire business to them and put it on their cloud. So why Google? So why Google could be the most trusted partner for you is because Google's own product, like Gmail, YouTube, Drive, you name any of the Google products, which are supporting 1 billion end users, the same technology platform is given to our end customers. So whatever Google is internally using, the same platform is given to the customer. So the best of innovations, right? Imagine running a Gmail for billions of users now available to the end customer. The same platform is available. So that is one of the most important differentiating factor when you look at why Google is your trusted partner. The second aspect is building fast and optimizing resources. So it's easy DevOps. You have Kubernetes. You have the whole DevOps process, which is very strong within the product. So you want to create your own cloud digital native software apps. It's very easy to create your cloud native applications very easily on cloud. And you have methods to monitor your digital IT assets, right? You can even build, secure, and then monitor your digital IT assets using Google Cloud. As I said, when I said security, I spoke about all the products. The third important differentiating factor about Google is the AI-specific solutions for industry. They have AI remote solutions, AI created solutions for the industry, FSI, health, public sector. So they're very vertical specific and domain specific. So they have used their artificial intelligence, the AI knowledge which they have built for industry scenarios. So solve industry-based scenarios. So if it's FSI, there's a different challenge. It could be NPA or it could be some other business-related solutions. If it's manufacturing, it's a different solution. Telecom, it's a different solution. So the third most important aspect, they have industry-specific solutions. For your industry, they have a based solution. So these are the three important differentiating factors why organization can look at Google as a trusted partner. Now, the next partner is your implementation partner. Obviously, Google Cloud is a hyperscaler, and we have seen their credentials. You need an implementation partner. So that's where we step in. We help the customers adopt the Google Cloud platform. We are a service build partner of Google, which means 360-degree Google partner ecosystem. We have domain knowledge, we have digital engineering knowledge, and we help customers solving the complex business challenge by adopting Google Cloud. We have capabilities across all the products of Google, which is Google Workspace, Google Maps, which is a location intelligence, and obviously Google Cloud, their public cloud platform. So we provide solutions across all these product platforms, right? And you can see us on the board, we have 1,000+ certified engineers across all priority workloads and solutions, and we have implemented across verticals, the FSI, healthcare, or the digital natives or born and customers. So in short, this is our DNA, and this is what Persistent is. And with this, I would like to conclude my 10 minutes of presentation. Looking forward to meeting you after this session and networking with you, and we could see how we, Persistent and Google, can jointly work with you to help you in solving your complex business challenges. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Teva. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a louder round of applause for him? Thank you, Teva. That was an insightful presentation on how you see Google Cloud powering the digital transformation for a lot of organizations with intelligence embedded in a lot of your solutions. I think that is a perfect segue into our next segment this evening, which is going to be an interactive panel discussion. And the topic for this discussion is innovating faster with a unified and intelligent data platform. So let's now move on to this segment. And for this, may I call upon stage our panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a thunderous round of applause to our panelists. Alok Kumar, co-founder, CTO, Karza Technologies. Neerav Shah, co-founder, Ultra Genius. Tirthankar Patnaik, Chief Economist, National Stock Exchange of India. Gaurav Bansal, Head Data and Analytics for L&T Financial Services. And Kunal Mathuria, Head Data and AI Sales for GCP India. Or I could do this standing if that's okay. Yeah. All right. So since we don't have too much of a space here, so I will do this standing. So now, before we get into this discussion, let me set the context. It's okay. I'll continue this way. Let me set the context for our conversation. According to a report by McKinsey Global Institute, companies that are data-driven are 23 times more likely to acquire new customers. And they are 6 times likelier to retain existing customers. Also, 19 times more likely to be profitable and successful. It's a business truism by now that data is creating winners in the business environment. That being said, a lot of organizations still do not know how to put their data to good use and how to make it work for their own benefit. Now, Forrester states that 73% of the business data is unused because you really cannot apply analytics on it. And the problem is that there is no shortage of data that organizations are generating. The problem is that the inefficient organizational structures and the architectural decisions contribute to the gap that happens in most organizations between aggregating data and making it work for your organization. A lot of organizations have tried to take the cloud route to modernize data and analytics, but that really hasn't helped adequately, because the issues around siloed data sources and the brittle processing pipelines that organizations construct ad hoc, they continue to remain. And the other big challenge that happens is that organizations then fail to provide the actionable, relevant, contextual insights to the power users of technology, the business users who are the ones taking decisions. And this problem further gets compounded because the data is not meant for a single user, it's meant for a host of business users, each of whom have a different perspective on data governance, data discoverability, freshness of the data, metadata, processing timelines, and the queryability. So, if organizations have to be really agile in giving insights and data related decisions to their business users, they have to have a very agile platform that can then serve business users efficiently. So, leaders appreciate the need for a unified and intelligent data platform that caters to the functional needs across business divisions. With that as the premise, I'd like to start off with you, Neerav. Neerav, you're handling an organization that is a software developer recruitment platform. So you deal with a lot of data, recruitment data there, since it's largely for technical postings, their degrees, certifications, a lot of those things that come into play. How are you dealing with this challenge of efficient, intelligent, and unified data management?
Sure. Thanks. Thanks a lot for having me on this discussion panel first, and a very good evening to all of you. Like Sneha mentioned, that we started as a recruitment agency first, where a lot of things that we were doing was happening manually, where we were vetting the developers manually, and we were storing, there were recruiters who were storing the resumes and various data points that we were capturing, like their Stack Overflow details, their GitHub details, where their certifications, their communication skills data. So it was all scattered all over the place. And the biggest challenge that we were having was we had to do a lot of manual follow-ups with a lot of developers. When there was an opportunity which was even relevant, we used to miss out. There was deduplication of effort. And at the same time, let's say if one person leaves the organization, the entire knowledge that they gain, it goes away with them. And since then, we moved to the cloud, and all the data that is captured by our platform is completely digitized. That has given us a very good advantage in terms of automating a lot of things and streamlining a lot of efforts that overall resulted in increase in the matching speed of developers' resumes. There are thousands of resumes on our platform, and the corresponding job openings that are there on the other side of things. So the speed at which we can match is just way more faster and better. So that is what has really helped.
Right. Thank you, Neerav. Thank you for highlighting the complexity that comes with the disparate sources of information, the disparate sources of data, the complexity that comes with managing all of this, the complicated infrastructure that happens, and then it becomes really difficult to derive insights out of it. I'd like to take this to you, Gaurav. Gaurav, at L&T Financial Services, you deal with a lot of customer-focused data as you create data models for cross-sell, upsell, for coming up with hyper-personalization, unique value proposition for your customers. So how do you deal with the challenge of, the fragmented data estate? How do you think that hampers the ability to, the speed, the agility, the innovation, the scale, all of that? How do you manage that with the complexities that you have in the system?
So first of all, thanks for, am I audible?
Yes.
Thanks for inviting to the conference. So at L&T Financial Services, we have a huge financial data of our customers, of our prospects, marketing, and a lot of vendors. So in fact, I would say we are client of you. We are, in a way, we are connected with you as well. And I think we are using Karza services as well. So out of 4 people here, we are using the services from 3 of them. And hopefully you will be one of them very soon. So that's how the ecosystem is, right? The ecosystem is entirely complex. We have got more than 100 vendor partners from whom we get the data on a real-time basis, and we continue to get it. There is a lot of data sources coming into the systems. There is a lot of consumption happening at the same time. We are generating a lot of insights on a real-time basis as well. So being a financial organization and being a organization which is one of the top most NBFCs in the country. The complexity is, as all of you are aware, the data silos, the data does not talk to each other, the data is in different formats, different shapes, a lot of data quality issues, data missing data challenges, and all those exist with us as well. We are definitely not coming from anywhere else in the universe. We are part of this data community. The way we have implemented, and with the help of Google facilities and the Google GCP platforms, we have created a customer 360 where the and it's all it's a journey. We are a very robust environment of customer 360 is available, where we have got the whole transactional data of the customers available. We have got their unique IDs which are linked to all kind of various smarts, whether it's a campaign smart, whether it's a servicing, whether it's a customer's payment behavior, whether how we have approached and serviced the customer, what is the customer interaction on various digital channels. And not only it is about the customers, but it is all about our employees as well. How my sales guy is performing on the field, how my collections team is performing on the field, what the data that I am getting about my customers from various bureau sources that I have, all that getting organized into the customer 360. And on top of that, we have created an analytics smart. So the way that we have resolved this challenge is to create and continuously create a data mesh where the data is structured, it is talking to each other. Uh, we are utilizing a lot of unstructured data as well, converting into structured data and then linking it with the rest of the sources. So that's why we have resolved the challenges. But honestly, it's a every time there is a new finding, every time there is a new source coming in, every time there is a new client or vendor being added, you go through the whole process again. You'll continuously refine it, refine it, refine it, and I don't think so it will ever end. But it's a journey, and you derive definitely get the results of the journey. We see the way we have started our straight through processing. We are one of the best straight through processing for some of the loan segments where we operate. Uh, and we claim that we are the highest. In 45 seconds, we approve a loan for a customer, which is one of the best state tat in industry. And that's because of all this data sitting together, we can make a decision in 45 seconds.
Right. Thank you so much for giving us a peek into the business of your company and how you manage all of those complexities. Alok, I'd like to move on to you. Alok, the unified data platforms are essentially the data consumption platforms. So as organizations try to get into predictions, inference, AI and ML, what is the approach that you've taken towards unified data management?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. And obviously, thanks for having me here. So broadly, what you asked, right, in terms of how are you looking at AI or ML in terms of preparing like a unified data platform, I'll probably take 30 seconds to give the background. Uh, the unified data platform that we have built so far that sort of works on top of thousands of different, you can say, publicly available data sources. We'll have different variety of data, unstructured data, data with a lot of poor quality, incomplete data. So it's definitely one way, we can speak about that, you need to have different sort of data lake, different databases, but how do you make sense of the data which has quality issues, which is unstructured in nature itself? So that's the first place where we could find a lot of use case for using different NLP algorithms, computer vision, to sort of take data which is unstructured, which is kind of a lot of PDFs, text boxes, or images. How do you sort of make it structured, index it in a way? That's one sort of core area. And obviously, once we have built the intelligence, the data is there. How do you keep on sort of refining your logic? Because ultimately, business is not about throwing a lot of data, but how can you, let's say, pinpoint the signals that, hey, this is what, this is how probably you can take decisions. So again, that's sort of where, you sort of get into models. It's not always models, by the way. Many times, you have experts who understand that, how to make sense of the data. And you can just empower them by building up a good technology layer that, hey, you can just specify what's the best way to, get the signal out. That's one. There's one more part where I think it's really important that, at least for us, that worked really well, that when you are working on these data platforms, every stakeholder has to have sort of a real-time visibility in terms of what's happening, and everyone can collaborate and collaborate. So that's where we have a unified data platform, which is kind of leveraged by our data ingestion team, to our data engineering team, to our data scientists, to our business analysts, to our product managers, even all the CXOs, all of us. So that's the power where everyone can work, really closely, and ideas just flow everywhere.
Right, right. That's a perfect segue into my question to Mr. Patnaik. Mr. Patnaik, we saw your case study on stage. So first of all, congratulations on that success story. What I'd like to understand from you is that at NSE, your researchers, your internal users, your external researchers, they needed access to analyze large sets of data, data sets that comprise of orders and trades. How did you then, there's also the angle of data security here and the scale of data that you deal with. So how did you go about laying the foundation of this new research facility that you have on cloud, which is called the NSE Data Room? And how did you make sure that you complied with all the security and operational requirements, since your NSE, it's an organization of national significance?
First, Neha, thank you. Thanks for having me here. I was just, when Deva was presenting, I was just checking how many queries does Google get every second. I mean, it's easily available. And the answer happens to be around 99,000 queries per second, which leads to about 8 billion queries in a day of 86,400 seconds. At NSE, the number of orders that you get today is 10 billion every day, and that happens in 22,500 seconds. And so that's the kind of data size that we kind of deal with. The data that we today use rises by a terabyte every day, every single day, and this number is only rising as we speak. And so the key challenge was how to basically make sense of this data, what to do with this data. It's one thing having it on the trading system, running the trades. That's all. That's what happens when you start analyzing this data and go slightly deeper into this data. And then second, how do you make this data available with the right security protocols involved, with an external crowd, an external set of academics, and having to help them use this data. So our solution was this Google Media Agility at that time, the NSE Data Room as we call it. So we have about 1.1 petabyte of data, and the idea was to use this data on a very regular basis. Our point is not time sensitive. We are, as you would have heard my salutation, I'm an economist. So the idea was to do deep dive data on deep dive analysis on historical data, and we looked at solutions which were available, and the particular model that we chose allows us to deal with, if we get a terabyte data a day, and that's quite okay today. So I can just say that we are able to analyze data at a speed, at a convenience, not just for us, but also for our external people, and solutions which are available, from any part of the world in a very seamless manner and in an easy to understand manner. So many academics, they know a lot of econometrics, they know a lot of the new advances in AI and machine learning, but they may not be able to handle the simply giant size data that we have. And with the particular solution that we have sort of implemented at NSE Data Room, this is feasible. And I should also sort of underline the security aspects here. As you rightly pointed out, security is paramount at NSE, and one can sort of, it gives comfort that all the security protocols of National Stock Exchange were met with this particular sort of solution. So for us, size and speed is paramount.
Right, absolutely. Size and speed is critical, and so is security. What your response is a perfect segue again into what I want to ask Kunal. Kunal, can you tell us how a cloud-based data platform can democratize data across the enterprise, especially to the business people who want to make business decisions, the power users of data and technology, and how do you see it, increasing agility for organizations when they're able to take data-driven data-driven business decisions faster, especially in these times when the macroeconomic winds are blowing in the wrong direction. Every organization would want to have agility because that will help them, lap up the business opportunities faster before their competitors do that.
Good evening, everyone. That's a very interesting question, right? Because if you heard all the stories, none of them were the same, right? We started with like a business problem that they're solving with data. We went to like how you process requests fast, right? Straight through processing, went to AI ML, and then we came to scale, right? Just the sheer volume. So data is not uniform. It's got multiple formats. It comes in various different sizes, schemas, and the uses of data are very different. The use cases are very varied. If traditionally you were to build a data infrastructure like we'd been building for so many years, they were very, very regimented. They were not very agile. They were not, responsive to the changes in which the business was evolving. So you had very structured databases and you just queried them. And if you couldn't get the data into a structure, you were not able to get the insights. So what cloud allows you to do is to be able to take any form of these data and then make it into a format where you can analyze it very easily and then make to, what the gentleman from Karza said, get the signals out and make it consumable by everyone within the organization so that then they can make a data-driven decision, right? If you don't make it available in the format that is consumable by the business, you can't expect the business to take decisions which are data-driven. So cloud makes that whole thing easy, allows you to work with varied formats, and makes the consumption channels as easy as possible for the business to consume.
Right. Perfect. Now, Nirav, I'd like to build on what you said in your first response. How did you see your unified data platform help you as a cost-effective and time-saving approach to deal with the data sprawl that you mentioned, and also to unlock the latent value of the enterprise data that you have, as we've been talking to all the panelists about it?
Sure. So I'll just run you through the process that we did here, where the first process was to automate as much as possible in terms of capturing data, as at the same time, for example, the kind of challenges that we face in terms of using AI and ML as well, in terms of extracting lots of skills that the developers have on our platform from thousands of resumes and matching them with the corresponding jobs, right? So that is where we use a lot of natural language processing and machine learning. And the kind of data that we are able to get from that, it's very significant because that enables us to do fast matching. Means initially we were taking around 7 days to send a relevant profile after vetting the profiles. But using this particular approach, we were able to reduce the time to 24 to 48 hours because we were able to do extreme fast matching. And what we are essentially are planning to build is a talent cloud. And just like when you are hiring an Uber driver, you don't necessarily have to wait for 7 days to get matched with a driver, right? So why in the case of hiring a talent, right, or a developer, we have to wait for several months. So we're trying to solve that problem, and that is where we see AI and ML can really transform the entire industry the way it is right now. And we are ourselves using AI in almost every department at this point. And with a very small team, we are able to scale very quickly at the same time and give a great experience along with human intelligence on top of artificial intelligence, a combination of both, obviously. So that is what has helped us in a lot of cost savings as well by keeping the team small and at the same time scaling it very well.
I'd like to build on that with Alok. Alok, how do you see AI and ML playing a role here in efficient, intelligent, unified data management? And how do you, basis your experience, can you talk to us about how organizations can go through these stages of, planning around modernization, unifying, then getting to innovation with relevant, actionable, contextual insights that they could give to the business guys to then be able to innovate. So how does it go about while shrinking cycles and making the innovation cycles faster?
Sure, I think there are multiple parts to the overall question. Uh, so one was right. So I'll probably go back with the some of the case studies that we personally had. When your data, so when you're trying to solve a business problem, be it like an internal problem where you're trying to say that whatever data you have, what is the best you can get out of it, or maybe an external problem where you want to build some intelligence on top of some data which is lying, and people are trying to ignore that right now. So no matter what it is, it's very difficult that you can have an impactful outcome by just looking at one specific data point, one specific source, one specific department or system, whatever you call it. So the first part, which sort of becomes important, is that how do you work with all the stakeholders? So you need to have that sort of data culture. Something that I always say that it's not something which only a data scientist or data engineer can sort of do. If the product team, if the CXOs, they themselves don't believe in it, if it's not top down, it will fail. You won't be able to get the value out of it. That's the first part. So know basically how everything sort of stitches together really well. The second part is getting the structure out of it. While the signal will come probably towards the end, how do you sort of figure out a way so that these sort of silos can speak with each other? And that's where it gets sort of interesting, where you can probably look at AI/ML or maybe some algorithms. It can again by working across thousands of different sources, we have seen that at times we had to train deep learning models to probably, let's say, given a let's say a legal document, how do you know who the counterpart is? Petitioner, respondent, advocate, judges. Or probably when you're looking at let's say even two different databases for any entity, let's say, how can you marry these records together? Because if you I'll go a bit more computer science here, but probably the point is that if you don't get it right, it will take more than 100 years to do it. If you get it right, you can do it in a few days. So that's the difference, that your algorithms, or that the way you sort of look at the fundamentals of computer science, databases, all of those things. So that's part one. Second also is that you need partnership from all the different departments, what I was speaking about. And AI is not only, towards the end when you are looking at signals, even for data ingestion, when you're dealing with different type of documents, the way you sort of read a beat. And there are a lot of services that all the major cloud service providers like Google are already helping out. For us, we used some of them. We also built something in-house. But definitely there is a lot that is available off the shelf by Google or even some of the other major cloud service providers, which can definitely accelerate. I'm not saying that is the way to do it or is the only way to do it, but definitely it's a powerful way to do it. Otherwise you can obviously build your in-house expertise and do it. But definitely a lot of investment in computer vision, deep learning is required to sort of get that automation inbuilt. If I covered everything or there is something else which is
No, I
missing.
think you pretty much covered everything. And I'd like to take that to Gaurav. Gaurav, how can organizations, like picking up from what Alok was talking about, how can organizations automate the entire data management life cycle, and how do you see it happening in your organization?
So I would say the data management life cycle is pretty complex. You have to understand the various sources of the data that it's coming from, and then using the facilities that are available within the system, or you have to build a lot of these things on your own as you learn about more and more data coming in. So what we have observed is using some of the AI/ML things, we have done a lot of data categorization automatically. Data cataloging happened. We as I said earlier, we created the whole customer 360. And in the journey, when the developers and the data engineers were developing it, data modelers were modeling it, a lot of times our schemas, our data documentation, the schema documentation was running out of the context and it was going haywire. But then we started using the data categorization facilities. We got to know that okay, the metadata can be created automatically on top of it. It helps in the query optimization, it helps in the data searches, and it was pretty useful for us. So that's one aspect that the data management can be done by some of the AI ML tools. Another one, what we have observed recently in analytics is purely of EDA, the exploratory data analysis that we do before creating any machine learning model. That is also being done very nicely with the tools available in the systems. Obviously, it's a garbage in, garbage out. You have to give a lot of inputs to the systems. You have to feed the right data. But the work that was taking, let's say, around 6 or 7 days of manual effort earlier, that can be performed within a couple of hours. The whole EDA comes out. You understand the information value coming out from various variables, and which can directly go into your model building process. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of data management is how do you handle your unstructured data. So there are lots of services coming up from the environment that we use from Google, where we are reading it from the graphics, where we are reading from the images, we are parsing the data, and then Alok was calling out, right, that you get the PIA information from an Aadhaar card directly without going into any operations routine. So that helps a lot into your STP journey, that improves your TAT. So that kind of conversion from going into an unstructured data, moving through an structured information and then utilizing it further in your journey, that helps a lot. Another aspect of data management is on the speech to text. We get a lot of calls into our call center servicing. So we convert those, a lot of calls gets converted into the text, and then we start doing the analysis of the text, give the feedback to the agents based off that analysis. And that helps in improving the customer service aspect as well. So all in all, it's a whole paradigm that you have to build in on how you use this AI/ML capabilities on your data management. One aspect that has been pretty important for us is on the data quality issues. We had a lot of garbage in coming it. The system were giving us a lot of blank values. But with this AI/ML, you can, earlier we was using mean, mode, median, but now we can use a better algorithms to understand and to fill that blank value with some usable format, and that helps immensely when we are creating models on top of it.
Right. Perfect. Now, Mr. Patnaik, I'd like to elaborate. I'd like you to elaborate a bit on how what you were talking about in your previous response. How has the NSE data room helped your researchers and your business users to efficiently carry out the analytics and research on the big data that you're getting?
I can provide one sort of use case. Uh, Typically, when we put an order and it converts into a trade in the stock market, there are costs involved, and these costs are, your brokerage costs. Those are generally proportional costs. So you pay something to the broker, you pay something to the exchange, something to the regulator, and so forth. There are also non-proportional costs, which are a function of your liquidity, of the liquidity in your particular order. So suppose you are in a highly liquid stock, your transaction costs are likely to be very minimal. And on the other hand, if you get into a very liquid stock, then your transaction costs can be significant. And depending on the frequency of your trades, and these days electronic trades are are very prevalent, transaction costs can be very meaningful. They can become, they can get into double-digit percentages also. Now, how do you sort of calculate these transaction costs? And by the way, they are asymmetric, first of all. They depend upon it's buy trade or a sell trade. Depends upon the order of the depth of the limit order book that you have, how much liquidity is sort of available. They depend and differ across time of the day. They depend and differ across, for products like options, across days of the month, whether you are close to the expiry or not. Now, if the challenge is to calculate these transaction costs on a fairly regular basis, there are several places where these transaction costs are sort of used. One of the solutions we sort of put up on the NSE data room allows us to calculate these transaction costs at a per second level, literally at a per second level. That's uh, with order books or with orders that are about 450 million rows on a daily basis. And if you are doing it on a for the derivatives market, as I said, 10 billion rows a day. So about 4 to 5 years back, this number used to be about 3.5 billion a day. Now it is about 10 billion a day. And the idea is to calculate these what we call impact costs for about 2,500 sort of stocks, and you do it every second, 22,500 times a day. So the idea was to use extreme parallelization, massively parallel systems, and allows us to scale up as much CPU usage that's required on demand. And this is something that we were able to sort of achieve using the NSE data room. Just sort of one example. So we ended up using more than 200 CPUs at some point in time, a terabyte of RAM. And you write RAM algorithms. I absolutely agree with you. If you don't write the right algorithm, there's no way you're going to do these things. So the idea is more than the hardware more than the software, you have to need to get the algorithm absolutely right. So how do you use things that do not use RAM, who use your CPUs to the maximum possible advantage? You don't use so much disk. And these were some of the things that were our learning in the last year and a half. And given the data rises, the way it is rising, and given the way compute is always available, as much compute is available on a cloud platform like NSE Data Room, we are looking at systems which are now, we go into the supercomputing sort of world with thousands of processors at a time. So I'm just saying that these were some of the use cases. One actually use case that we were able to sort of achieve. Another one was short numbers. The raw data was about 103 terabytes. The final data was about 172 megabytes. So for an academic, they do a lot of analysis. The question was this. So many of you might be knowing physical settlement versus cash settlement. This is a challenge that happens in derivative markets. So the question was, okay, what happened with physical settlement? Did that really help the markets, help it or not? So the academic finally needed only 172 MB of data, but we analyzed 103 terabytes of data to get her to that, and it was only feasible when we were able to use the NSE data room. There was no question of doing it in any other place.
Right. Perfect. Now, Kunal, how does your cloud-based data platform help organizations deal with the business imperatives of the hyper-availability, hyper-sprawl, hyper-growth? And can you share some examples of, customer reference stories, customer challenges that you've solved, and how have you, delivered tangible business benefits to them?
Sure. I'll give you a couple of reasons as to, everyone's got a choice of platforms nowadays. And let me give you a couple of reasons as to why you could look at Google as your platform of choice for your data needs, right? Let me start with Google itself. I think there is no larger company in the world currently who's built multi-billion-dollar products which are completely data-driven, right? Search, Google Search, I think every one of us uses it on a daily basis, is probably the largest data-driven product that exists currently. We have our ads platform where within a millisecond, based on a few data points, we got to serve a relevant ad to individuals, in microseconds, right? That decisioning has to happen instantly. You've got YouTube, which has got a library, a data set, which is so large, right? The metadata management challenge there is just mind-boggling. And for me, when I'm explaining people ML and AI and all of these complex terms, the most easy to kind of get people to relate to is if you're seeing a YouTube video and at the bottom you see the transcription, right, of any, you can turn that on and off. That's just pure ML models, right, doing the transcription on the fly. So there is no company right now on earth who's better equipped and better experienced from a data perspective, which is now opening all of that tech up to enterprise customers to build products like those, right? To all of the other challenges that were there around security and scale, right? Uh, I don't think so anyone in this room doesn't or hasn't tried Google, and if it works at global scale, it should work at any enterprise scale. From a security perspective, you use Google is because you inherently trust Google with your data, right? It is part of our brand. So security is built right up front for all Google products. And we understand that it's very important for our enterprises. Now, making this relevant to your consumers or your business users, we've got partners such as Persistent, whom we can bring in to kind of stitch all of this together, bring all of the tech together. With regards to the last part of the question, from an example perspective, well, I'm very happy to know that a lot of my fellow panelists are Google Cloud customers. So there couldn't be a better testimonial than they themselves coming up on stage and talking about it, right? So, we had Gaurav talking about how they're using it, Alok got Karza using models for a large data platform, this thing. So that's how I'm happy to kind of come in and help with any other customer needs that they may have.
Right. While being able to derive business insights from the data is a state of nirvana, and you need to get there, it's not so easy to to reach that promised land. But in your quest of getting there, were there any managerial or technical best practices that evolved that you would want to share with our audience, or maybe any pitfalls that they should avoid? Quick sound bites from each one of you as closing comments. We'll start with Alok.
I'll keep it simple. It's first principles always matter. I mean, you can make things sound complicated. You can use jazzy words. If you can't keep it simple, there's something wrong.
Nirav?
Yes, what to Alok said, just to add something to that is, again, artificial intelligence and data is extremely powerful if used in the right way. And I think means most of the businesses, the ones that will be using and adopting these platforms will be able to scale way faster and way bigger than other companies who do not. So that is something that we have been seeing with a lot of companies that we have been working with as well. And that is what we have been trying to do ourselves too.
Right. Mr. Patnaik?
I think get the algorithm right. I'll keep saying that. I mean, anybody who's in analytics and this area, get the sort of algorithms right, and I think a lot of the challenges get solved in that manner.
Right.
Okay, I would say that the business should not speak data. The data should speak business. And that's my advice to my team always, that whenever you are doing any analysis, make it so simple that the data speaks business and it's understandable and democratized and used by everybody.
That's a nice way of putting it. Kunal?
Well, I'm not a practitioner like all of them, so I'd just say that trust the practitioners. They know their thing, they will deliver.
Any industry insights? Any industry insights from your perspective on how you see this unfolding in the future?
Well, like I'm a data-driven guy. I don't like crystal ball gazing, but I think data is the it's an often used term now. The data is the new gold. So if you don't have your data infrastructures in place and you're not collecting and analyzing data, it's going to be a tough world for you.
Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your insights, your real-world perspectives, your business challenges, how you're working around those challenges and creating opportunities for your business, data-led business opportunities for your business. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I'm sure, like I said, it's a state of nirvana, and it's not easy to get there, but the promised land is there. You can reach it, and with technical help available from partners like Google and Persistent Systems, they make it a little more easier for you to traverse that journey. With that, once again, I'd like to thank all of you for participating in this panel, and I'd request Kunal to felicitate our esteemed panelists for participating in this session. Thank you. The next session that we have is a presentation by Prakash Panchal. He is the customer engineer and Google Workspace Specialist India. Prakash is a Google Workspace Specialist and AppSheet Specialist based out of Mumbai. He comes with more than 12 years of experience in the design of productivity and collaboration transformation journey for most multinational companies. Can we have a huge round of applause for Prakash? Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, can we once again have a huge round of applause for Prakash Panchal, and he's going to be making a presentation on future of work. Prakash, can we have you on stage, please?
I'm sure we heard a lot about data, and what we're going to do a segue at the moment, and I'm going to relate that back to how data, in the world of what you use, how your future of work also comes in. So, I'm going to put some statistics at the beginning just to ensure that we are all at the same page, and we also understand what is future of work. I'm sure we have all heard of future of work, hybrid work, work from home, work from anywhere, remote work, and a lot of jargons in the times of COVID and even after that and even before that. So what I want to bring to your notice is 83% of the estimate executives expect to have support for hybrid work permanently, which essentially means that 80% of the IT wants to have hybrid work for the organization. Let me put some more light around what is hybrid work so that we're also able to clear off the cloud. When you look at hybrid work, essentially that's divided into 4 portions, right? When we say, is the user or is the employee 100% working from office and does not have complete flexibility while is in office. The second is there is full in-person in office with some flexibility. And then there are other versions where I'm working from home, I have flexibility at work as well as at office, and then I have completely working from home, and I'm not even going to office, but I have 100% work with 100% flexibility. So when we bring that on, what we have seen in most of the conversation that I have with my customers is around, do we know hybrid? Or do we know hybrid in a way which is useful to the organization, right? We have seen bits and pieces of some person are working from home, some person are coming to office, some person is on the field force, right? So we need to get it right. And when we talk about that, some of the tenets that I speak is about how do I get the teams, bridge gaps between the organization. A marketing team, a sales team, an engineering team sitting at office, probably the field force is on the field. How do I bridge that gap? Because at the end, everybody is at the same conclusion. Today, the synchronous work is no longer the means of working. You don't have to work synchronously. You can work in parallel. You can work with people inside your organization who are also working synchronously. For an example, today I start doing my work and I realize that I need somebody to assist me. In the previous style of working was, I pick up the phone, I call and say that, this is what I want, how do I get it done? The person says something and then I build up. But what if I'm able to bring everybody inside the same ecosystem, inside the same tool which I use to create, connect, as well as share, and everybody is just collaborating on a single pace. The third one, which is most essential, which I've heard, is security. We always want to ensure that no matter where the user is from, where is it working, in office, at work, no matter wherever, it has to be highly secure, no matter the endpoint, no matter the device, no matter the phone, Android, iOS, doesn't really matter. It has to be secured in all possible ways. Security itself, many of us define security in a different way, which essentially means, am I talking about data security? Am I talking about device security? Am I talking about data and device, or as well as identity security, which is also the most way in which the phishing happens from an identity standpoint. Now, what I want to bring to your notice is what we have seen, our customers, they choose Google Workspace, not because they want to do the same work that they were doing in the previous tool and they want to do it in Google Workspace. That's not what they choose it for. They choose it for co-creation. When I say co-creation is, there is a document, there is a slide, there is sheets, you have spreadsheets, everybody comes together and does real-time collaboration. We also have seen customers use Google Workspace for making meaningful connections, which essentially does not mean work. Outside of work, when I'm creating, communicating, collaborating, I'm also connecting to my people inside my organization, probably on WhatsApp, right? That's again, I'm trying to make meaningful connection in WhatsApp, but what is about the organization? How can organization change that culture where they give them a platform with which they can communicate, which is highly secured. And the third is ensuring everybody is safe, right? And that's where the entire ecosystem is. Now, I'll just pause it for a minute and talk about, and want to see this video about future of work.
What's my day look like?
Alert. Monday is a holiday in China. Shall I move your weekly meeting with the Shanghai team to 10 a.m.?
Only if I can meet with Sloan first.
Yep, accept. What else do I need to do today?
Meeting with Sloan confirmed. 9:15 a.m. today. I bundled the related docs.
Okay, great. Hey, Sloan. Super sorry about the late notice, but I just needed your brain on this.
No problem. At least we get to wrap this before the weekend.
Great. Let's jump in.
Before we get too deep, there's an alert on Typhoon Kosing. It could cause some inventory delays. Let's make sure Shanghai knows.
In that case, let's start with the schedule update.
Yeah, a little context probably wouldn't hurt.
Good call. Let's add an intro. Too much?
Honestly, it feels a little long. And maybe a bit casual.
Got it.
Let's get an update from ALB before we commit to the schedule.
Let's add Jayesh. He's awesome.
Meeting request accepted.
Okay, clock's ticking. I think we're good. Let's get this ready for Shanghai.
Starting meeting.
Hi!
Hi.
今天是有点晚了，可是我们很高兴跟你开会。
I know it's late, so let's jump right in with an update from Jayesh at ALB on some possible inventory issues.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. I just wanted to give you a quick update on this.
All right, that's what I wanted to give you a perspective of where Google Workspace is heading, right? We have started building all the associated platform which is required for you to use AI inside the system so that you're able to bring more connections and change culture of users who are working inside the organization. A very quick overview of what Google Workspace is. Google Workspace is divided into these three portions, the connect, create, and control. And I'm not going to talk about all of this. Some of this we may already know as part of our personal life. But then if you see Google Workspace, we see there is Gmail, Calendar, there is Meets, there is Chat. I'm not sure if anybody has heard AppSheets. Anybody in the room heard of AppSheet? Right? So AppSheet is our no-code platform. You don't need to write a single line of code to build an app. It's a data-driven application development platform. Imagine all the data stories that we heard. We want the field force to collect some more data in the type of work that they do. And today, you may have different platforms to collect that data. AppSheet is one of them where the business users can create apps for the business problems that today they don't have. And you use AI, you use those text to image to text. You use the ML model inside of AppSheet. Now, likewise, you have doc sheets and slides, and you have AppScript, which is a development platform. So in totality, you have a collaboration, productivity solution, which not only helps your users collaborate, but also helps you with security and compliance, help you with device management, help you with application management. You want to ensure that the user doesn't copy data from the work profile to the personal profile. Device management is up for you. And then there is Vault, which essentially helps you retain all that data, which is in the collaboration space. And that's where there are about 4 billion monthly active users that we have in Google Workspace platform. And some of the numbers I want to really talk about is 170 plus million students use Google Workspace. And that's the Gen Z, which is already in the platform. And I'm sure if some of us will resonate that when they join our organization, they don't want to change. They want easier tools that they were using in their personal life as well as in their schools and colleges. Right? So that's where Google Workspace is. Some of the abilities I want to talk about that may have never seen or probably seen in your personal life in some bits and forms is how about you create a document, and when you create a document, there is everybody inside the organization comes inside the document to collaborate with you. You don't have to send an email with a document that you may be doing today. You're calling the user to collaborate here. And then you're using smart chips, which essentially means that I can use an @ sign and create a table, which I may have created for some other purposes. I can reuse it here. My entire organization can use yours. I can put emoticons to capture people's emotions, use tasks, etc. How about in chat, when you are chatting with multiple people, there is a lot of conversation happens, and you don't want to read through all those 100 lines that may have discussed. You need an AI system that gives you summaries. That's one of the capability that you get as part of Google Workspace. And likewise, you have work inside that tells you how much are you working, how much are you spending time on physical meetings, on virtual meetings, on documents, whom are you collaborating with, so that you can reprioritize if that's necessary. With this, I'm just going to play 2 more videos that talk about those AI capabilities. And that's how your best work happens together, right? I mean, you cannot do it alone. You always need some of the people inside the organization in cross teams to be able to finish your work. And here's the video that talks about the AI which I spoke in Google. All right, so with this, I want to end the session with respect to Google Workspace. I know that we have already spent a lot of time in AI and data and Google Workspace, but if you see all of this data that the user uses from a document standpoint, collaboration standpoint, it generates user behaviors, it generates audit behaviors from a security standpoint. What if you bring all of that data in the data of GCP or Google Cloud Platform? You then are able to understand and derive reports out of it, which helps you understand how should I drive a particular conversation in my organization? How should I drive probably a sentiment with respect to a particular topic inside my organization? And then a lot of use cases automatically come up, right? So with this, I want to stop, and I want to hand it back to you.
Thank you so much, Prakash. Would you like to stay on stage? Because it was a very exciting and interesting session that you put together in front of our audience. And if there are any questions that you have, I'm sure a lot of the curiosity must have been, piqued during the sessions that we had today. Yes, please.
Hi, Prakash. This is Raswinder. My query is that what is the data size you are allowing to store in that particular things?
Allowing to store in Google Workspace?
Yeah.
it can range from all the way 2 GB to unlimited.
So that cost, or that's a
It
bundle
depends
pack?
upon what, I would not categorize that cost. Of course, it comes with cost. But then what I've seen organizations do is define personas. You would not want a field force who's barely using email, only using it for HR communication purposes. You would not want to give them probably a 50 GB or a unlimited data. You want to give them a smallest data possible, which will help you optimize your cost. And then there are executives, there are engineering teams who are building a lot of data, and they want to have that data from anywhere, but securely, where you say that only users can access my corporate data from whitelisted devices provided by the organization, and they cannot take away data in any form. They cannot send out sensitive data to anybody on the internet.
It's a DLP available in that?
Yes, so there is DLP, there is device management, there is data retention, there is access management, there is identity and access management, where you define that people who are in office, only they access it. But there are subset of users who are at home. If they are coming from a specific set of devices provided by the organization, only then allow. Not allow from a personal device. You can put in those policies.
And the last point, will your team able to help us to migrate the data?
Absolutely, I mean, that's where the platform is, yeah. So your data in whichever form today you have, we should be able to migrate it to Google Workspace.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Any more questions?
Yes, sir. Hi. Hi, Rajesh.
I'm Rajesh Panchal from Inox.
Oh, you are Rajesh.
So basically, you spoke about the G space, specifically coming on the Gmail, like, mail account and archival. So O365 and other platforms do give archival of folders, subfolders and all.
Correct.
How is Gmail today? Because people have been struggling there. So can you enlighten them?
Absolutely, and a very good question. And that's where what comes is the legacy of what we have been using, right? Our eyes are appropriately wanting to see an inbox, sent items, draft, and then there is a new button. There's a behavior where you want to see it in Outlook, and then you have an archive mailbox in Office 365, where you see both your primary and archive mailbox there. Google has been cloud native, and one of the benefit that we take when we say cloud native is no matter how you access it from your phone, your browser, you get the same experience. And to your question, we do give something called Vault, which is going to retain your data. You may be used to see a primary mailbox and an archive mailbox. In Google, there is just one mailbox, where you're giving you an unlimited storage. So your data is archived inside that. Even if you delete it, it's still there.
My question was regarding the subfolders in the business way. That is where Google...
You can create labels. So Microsoft says, Outlook says you create folders, and then you create server rules and local rules and move your emails from one folder to another. In Google Workspace, there was never a folder structure. And like I said, if you always compare what you're used to seeing it with Google Workspace, it may not be a fit. But yes, we do give you capabilities. You can create labels, which you can appropriately create those labels based on those business rules that you want to build. It's just that it won't look like folder that you're used to in Outlook.
Any more
All
questions?
right, any other questions?
All right, then I think with that, it's a wrap on this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being our audience, very patient and attentive audience. Thank you so much for that. I hope you found these discussions interesting, insightful, and useful, and you will go back with learnings to your organization and apply some of these. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful weekend ahead.